So good morning, everybody. Welcome to the October 1st Friday for the Cape Cod Technology Council. I'm Bert Jackson, the CEO of the Cape Cod Tech Council. I want to welcome you all here today. Really thrilled to have Bob Familiar from the Microsoft Technology Center in Boston here today. And we'll get to that in a minute. Just want to give you an update of some of the upcoming things that are happening. So for Fridays in COVID time, not only are we having our first Friday on the first Friday of the month, but also the off Fridays, we're doing our coffee Q&A, which happens at a slightly more civilized hour of 10 a.m. And it's a bit of a more casual conversation. And for the next two coming up, next week, we've got Dr. Thomas Fredo, and he's going to be talking about thermoscan technology, how to actually scan somebody's temperature. And of course, that's a big deal now in the COVID age. So that should be a fun topic and a fun conversation. And then on Friday the 16th, we've got a conversation with two folks from the Cape Light Compact, talking about energy and efficiency, the impact of COVID on energy efficiency. So those should be fun. And our first Friday in November is going to be with Dr. John Cox and his team from the Cape Cod Community College, talking about the new science building and some other things that will be happening there. And also as a reminder, on the third Wednesday of every month, which it's a late Wednesday this month, it's going to be on the 21st, we have our Infrastructure Committee meeting with Gene Curry, who has hosted it since the early days of the Tech Council in the 1990s. And at the Infrastructure Committee meeting, we discuss everything from broadband to bridges to the electric grid and sharks and beyond. Gene, are you here? Do you want to say anything about that? Oh, maybe Gene's not here today.
Gene's on mute.
Gene's on mute. No, he's here. Yeah, so as Bert said, this coming meeting, we've got a number of things on the agenda. One of them is going to be a sort of administrative thing. One of the functions of the Infrastructure Committee is to consider requests from various groups for support from the Tech Council. And what we've decided to do is develop a policy. We've kind of done that informally over the years, but we're developing a draft policy that we will consider as sort of the template for how we're going to make those decisions going forward. So that's going to be a part of our discussion on, I believe it's the 22nd.
I think it's the 21st actually, but.
Okay.
Yes, the 21st.
Back on mute.
Thank you, Gene. Looking forward to it. So let's get started. Please feel free to use the chat. Say, welcome yourself. Boy, not enough coffee this morning, Bert. Say good morning. Let us know where you're from. If you have a question, fire it off in the chat, and Robin's going to be our chat moderator today, and she'll make sure that gets turned around. And with that, I think I will turn this over to Ed Klein, who's on our board of directors and part of the program committee. And Ed's going to be our moderator today. Ed?
All right, thank you, Bert. Yeah, really excited to have Bob speak this morning. I first met Bob and his team a couple of years ago when my group from Cape Cod Healthcare traveled up to the Microsoft Technology Center for some strategy sessions and briefings. We were rolling out some technology that was new to the organization, and really just had a great experience at the strategic level. And even at the tactical level, as I've mentioned to Bob, we got answers and information on things that was just presented so well. And they have a wonderful facility up there, and terrific team. As mentioned in the description, Bob's a industry veteran. He's also the author of 2 books. So, I'm really excited today. We're not only going to talk about digital transformation, but he's going to touch on some other areas that the Technology Councils wanted to have a session on, including when we were in his facility. They've got a wonderful coffee maker system that's IoT enabled. I don't know if it's still running up there, but they got a lot of cool gadgets up there. So it's sort of a geek haven up there. Anyway, we're really excited, and Bob, I'll turn it over to you for the presentation.
I appreciate the kind words, Ed. Thank you very much, and Bert and everyone here. I appreciate the opportunity. the topic today is culture, strategy, and innovation. First, I'll just provide you a little bit of background on myself. As Ed said, I'm the director of the Microsoft Technology Center. We're based in Burlington. We call ourselves the Boston MTC, but we are located in Burlington, where we do have just an awesome facility. I understand anyway. I haven't been there in many months, but I hear it's a great place. There's, just fantastic space with a theater and briefing rooms and, all kinds of meeting spaces, hackathon areas where we can work with our customers. I've got a team of 6 architects. Our job is to help Microsoft's customers work through both their business strategy as well as their use of technology to enable that business strategy. So all of our work is really all about how to leverage our platform to drive their business outcomes. And we do that with a very well-refined process where a minimum meeting with my team is typically a day, and sometimes we're with a customer for 2, 3, or 4 days at a time, where we're doing deep discovery. We're really trying to understand what the challenges are for that customer, and then work with them to properly apply the technology with the right architecture. We'll do some upskilling through hackathons and rapid prototypes, and really accelerate our customers' really accelerate their vision. So that's what we do at the MTC. Now there's 15 MTCs in the US and about 60 worldwide. This capability's been growing for the last 21 years. The very first MTC was built in Waltham, Massachusetts. And so now we're in the 3rd iteration of this MTC. And it's a capability within Microsoft where we're essentially taking our campus culture and just putting it out there in the world so that our customers, wherever they are, can engage us and work with our engineers, and we can really help them succeed. So that's what we do at the MTC. And what was interesting when I took this role of director of the MTC almost 3 years ago now, which by the way, I've been with Microsoft since 1996. But I did leave in 2014 to go work for a partner, Blue Metal, to help them build up their cloud practice and their national IoT practice. And that's at the time when I wrote a couple of books on that topic. We were working with a lot of manufacturers and folks who were creating connected products. And so I got very deep into IoT and the microservice types of architectures, and just it was essentially a follow-on from my work in distributed computing, which I've been doing for many years. And then I came back to Microsoft 3 years ago, and for this position, one of the things that was really eye-opening for me when I began to engage with my team with customers is how important culture was to what they were trying to do. That everyone was saying, look, we're gonna get to the cloud. We're gonna go through this digital transformation. We're gonna digitize our business. And they were very much focused on the technology. But what were their biggest challenges was really their company culture was holding them back from succeeding. So it really became more of a challenge around how do we both help them with technology and with their culture. And that's sort of the background of this particular presentation and where it came from. So what I found was really helpful for our customers was for them to hear Microsoft's transformation story. What happened, under Ballmer, between the Bill Gates and Satya area, there was Steve Ballmer. And there were a tremendous number of successes and growth during that period, but also a lot of challenges. And clearly, if we were going to survive as a company back in that 2010 to 2014 era, where we had some very public failures around our mobile strategy, and I think we were definitely losing the developer hearts and minds. That was really impacting our business, because that was the core of Microsoft's business, at least when I started in the 90s, was the developer ecosystem loved the Microsoft platform and they built for that platform, but they were leaving in droves. And it was really because Microsoft's company culture, and which then fed the business culture it reached a point where it had to change, and that's where the board of directors made a shift from Mr. Balmer to Satya Nadella. And what Satya Nadella did when he first came on board, he realized that we had to address really those cultural challenges in order to enact a new business strategy, which at that time he called mobile first, cloud first, mobile first. That was the first sort of iteration of this new business strategy, but he had to focus on the company culture. And so one of the first things he did was we changed the mission statement to empower every person and every organization on the planet to achieve more. Which is an awesome mission statement. So that's something people could go, okay, I can get behind that. That's really, a very bold statement. But can anyone here on the call remember what our previous mission statement was? Didn't know there was going to be a quiz, did you? It's all right. You can put it in the chat and you'd let me know if anyone takes a couple of guesses here. Any takers? I know it's early. I'll just give you the answer. So it's a PC on every desk. All right, so a PC on every desk in 2014, 2015 era, not very visionary at that time, right? So not very inspirational. So that's really where it was important to first start with the mission statement. And then from there, Satya said, look, it isn't really just about what I'm going to do here. I've got to get the employees on board here. So we started to do a number of things to change the culture at Microsoft. One of the things that was focused on was just how employees are reviewed, recognized, and rewarded. So essentially, how does HR impact company culture? Because people will behave in the way that you will, say you're going to reward them, right? And you're coming from a culture at Microsoft where the review, just going through kind of the way people were reviewed for their performance, it was a yearly event. There was a stack ranking approach where people were giving a rank from 1 to 5. And, if you ended up in the bottom, with the bottom ranking, you were let go. That was the culture. So it was really a sense where employees were competing against each other for the ranking and not necessarily focused 100% on customer success. And so Satya felt that was something that was holding us back. So we moved to a new type of review mechanism where employees meet with their managers quarterly and have a connect. In the connect, the employee reviews with their manager what they had planned to do in the previous quarter and what they accomplished. So simply, what did you say you were going to do and what did you do? And let's look at the key, metrics of that. There are then two other areas of focus. The other is, how did you help others succeed? So what did you do to uplift other people on your team or in other parts of the organization to help them succeed in their business? What concrete things did you do? And then the third is, where did you bring other people into your business? Where did you borrow and collaborate in order to impact your own results? So it began to instill in the employees this sense of cooperation, collaboration, and sharing, that we're all in this together. And at the end of the day, let's all work together for the success of our customers. A huge, it created this psychological shift into what's called growth mindset. So this idea that we're all focused on the customer, that we want to encourage diversity and inclusion in our hiring practices, in the meetings we have every day, and the way we treat our fellow employees, the way we treat our partners, the way we treat our customers. We want to act as one Microsoft, and we want to make a difference in the world. So all of a sudden now this shift has created a very positive culture within Microsoft. It's now become a very attractive place to come and work. We have hiring programs that do outreach to individuals who are on the spectrum so that they don't have to go through that classic technology interview experience of a whole day of a gauntlet of 45 interviews where the person interviewing you is trying to determine if you're, how smart you are and trip you up with a technical question. Instead, have them go through more of a hiring process that spans a number of weeks where there's a coach and they are brought in and get to work alongside the team they might join, and we figure out if it's a good fit. It's a much better experience for someone who's on the spectrum, who's a very talented engineer, than putting him through an uncomfortable day of interviews. So just changing the way we hire, the way we treat each other. It's really, made a huge difference in, people wanting to work together and for the success of Microsoft and the success of our customers. There was a moment where Satya writes about this in his book, Hit Refresh. This is going back about 5 years. We were iterating on the technology that's behind our artificial intelligence bot framework, which is now, technology now that's been out several years and used by many, many customers. But in the early development, the team creating it needed to see, really how well it worked. And they wanted to, leverage the internet to do that. So they stood up a bot called Tay. They put it on Twitter, and they encouraged the world to interact with Tay, and so we could demonstrate kind of the learning capabilities of our bot technology. And within 24 hours, Tay was the most evil thing on the internet, and it was definitely a kind of a PR nightmare. Historically, that would have been a very bad thing within Microsoft, that a development team created, a product, put it out there before its time, and created kind of a public backlash. Instead, Satya said, "Look, this is a teaching moment. I'm going to, in the next town hall, which happened just a couple weeks later, he had the product team in the front row. He says, look, I want to just call out that the team that put Tay out there, yeah, we got some interesting press as a result of this, but what we're demonstrating is we're an innovative company. We're going to try things, and occasionally we're going to fail, but we're going to learn from that, and we're going to come back stronger as a result." So he encouraged the team to keep going, to iterate, and that was him telling a message to the entire company through this experience, that we're an agile enterprise. It's okay to try. It's okay to fail. Learn from that quickly, and take another shot at it. So again, this was not something that was part of Microsoft's culture, to think that we're going to be that kind of an innovative company. We're actually going to do things at that speed, at that velocity. And it's okay if occasionally things don't work. We're simply going to do it in best faith, learn from it, and go on. So another sort of big shift in the culture. He instituted a hackathon that we do every year, and this is the largest company hackathon in the world. So every year, all Microsoft employees are encouraged to come together and form teams and decide to work on things together and hack over a 3 or 4 day period, and then share the things that they created. And coming out of that then have been a number of new products. Like, I don't know if you're familiar with the Xbox controllers for children that don't have hands or legs. Being able, again, demonstrating we want to be inclusive even with our products. We want to be able to reach a new customer base and bring them in and say, look, yeah, Xbox is for you too. There was a great commercial that was played during the holidays a couple years ago. That's just an example of a product that came out of an internal Microsoft hackathon that then was brought to market, at speed. And it's because it was really about doing something good in the world and trying to make a difference. And so now that hackathon happens every year. And just locally here, what my team did this year is we decided to invite customers and nonprofits into it. Normally, it's just it's an employee-only hackathon, but the team that runs the global hackathon said, nope, now we're going to open it up to customers and nonprofits. So my team hacked with Easter seals on behalf of one of their clients on accessibility. So the gentleman, based here in Massachusetts, he runs a business. He has a cerebral palsy. He's in a wheelchair. He has issues with speech, with dexterity. And so he's using a lot of technology But it was really when we were hacking on, what could we do to help this individual? It really was about researching new devices, new applications, and then a technology refresh for him, and having to do with being able to control things in his house using IoT devices, using apps that are designed for his use. That was it was incredibly rewarding to be able to hack and do something like that. And then another example is we hacked with Akamai on sustainability, which is another big initiative at Microsoft. And it's also a big initiative at Akamai. We said, hey, we're trying to do something good in the world that's very similar. Let's come together and do it together. So we hacked on that this year. So just more examples. And that's just here, my team. Imagine this now at the scale of Microsoft across the world, really trying to make a difference through, not just out there with our commercial business, but saying, what, the technology we have can also make a difference in people's lives. And then Satya, of course, does a lot of outreach, and as we all do, to students. So doing things like at our NERD facility in Cambridge, if you've heard of NERD, that's New England Research and Development. I believe they put that there just so they could have the acronym, but it's another very cool space. We've got a division of our research arm is there. And we also have a space that's called the Garage, which is another employee and community-facing hackathon and makerspace. And we host college interns there twice a year. And they actually work with our product groups to create features for our products. So they get involved in the development, and they see after their 12 to 14 week internship, those features actually show up in the product. They show up in Excel. They show up, as features in Azure and so on. So I'll just pause there for a second. That's really more the culture. And now I was going to shift into how that has informed and driven our business strategy. But I just wanted to pause there to see if there were any questions kind of on that cultural piece and how important it is to start to be successful in this digital business era.
I don't see any questions in the chat, Bob, so I think it's great overview so far. I've seen a lot of folks commenting, not so much questions, but commenting on the great work your team is doing and around an inclusive nature of hiring and hackathons, and those are just wonderful stories of the good work and the contributions your team's making.
No, I appreciate that. I appreciate the comments. Yeah, it's I can tell you, I've worked at Microsoft under Bill Gates. I worked at Microsoft under Steve Ballmer, now under Satya. I actually feel like I work for a completely different company than it was even just 10 years ago. It's a completely different company. And it was a different company under Bill Gates. So I've really lived through and worked through a number of these transformations, these cultural shifts that then, when I first joined, we had just released Windows 95, right? I mean, and we were shifting from a box software to an internet company. That was the first big shift that I worked through, and then to become an enterprise company. And now, it's a global cloud platform provider. So it's another very significant shift.
Very exciting. Yeah. So carry on, Bob.
Thank you. So, so the business strategy then, as I said, it was first this cloud first, mobile first, but now we refer to it as intelligent cloud, intelligent edge. So it's really the evolution from a Microsoft Office centered business to saying, well, we're going to be a platform for our customers to achieve their digital transformation, to run their digital business on our platform. And we're going to provide a global, secure, intelligent platform for these people-centered experiences. Every component within our cloud and our edge technology is imbued with artificial intelligence. In order to achieve that, it requires ubiquitous computing. So what that means is we had to, over the last 10 to 12 years, we've been building out essentially a global computer. Right now, we are at 64 regions where we have data centers around the world. within a region, then those data centers are made up of multiple buildings. And within a region, then there are typically multiple collections of those buildings that are separated by hundreds of miles. And so within a set of buildings, you've got local failover, and then you've got regional failover, and of course you have global failover. So we're talking about a virtualized, massive computer spread out across millions of servers and storage capability. And then the entire network that connects all of these together is owned and managed by Microsoft. We actually lay the fiber optic cable that connects all of this globally. So the dark fiber, it's a completely secure data center environment with a global footprint. It's just massively scalable, and we're continually evolving that, and provides a platform for our customers then to say, yes, so if we can leverage Microsoft SaaS solutions, which would be our Microsoft 365 for Office and document collaboration and document management and identity management and all those capabilities. We can leverage Dynamics 365, which is our SaaS offering for CRM and marketing and F&O operations. And then you've got Azure, which is our what those two SaaS offerings are built on top of is Azure, which is our IaaS and PaaS capabilities, and all the hundreds of services available there for our customers to take advantage of. If they want to do lift and shift, we have those capabilities. They want to build a secure extension on-prem to the cloud and have a hybrid architecture, we can do that. They want to be all in the cloud and build their own SaaS offerings, we can do that. And then, of course, offering the same capabilities we have in the cloud, but now packaged at the edge, whether it's within mobile phones, it's within laptops, or secure edge devices and with sensor capability that are being deployed, being integrated into products, deployed into factories, IoT enabling buildings, people, and products, and creating a completely connected infrastructure. Because at the end of the day, what everyone is looking to do is gather real-time information and make real-time business decisions on that real-time information. And so you just want this completely connected environment. Now that we have our business strategy rocking and rolling, it's really come along very well over the last several years. We've got a tremendous amount of customer success on our platform. We're continuing to evolve it and add capabilities. It allowed us, once we had the culture and the business strategy aligned, that we could then also now focus on these areas of innovation, things like what we're doing with our data center. So here we have a picture of a data center that's it's functioning, but still under construction. And what you can see about this data center is an example of some of the innovations we're doing around the world. As we're building this infrastructure, we're doing things like, well, let's see if we can actually build this so it has less of an impact on the environment. Let's build a data center that doesn't require, in this case, air conditioning, because it's in a cold climate. We can have an open roof data center and you can see the containers where the servers are located there. In the top of the building. It's multiple stories. And we're using just the air here to circulate and cool that environment. And this got us thinking, if we're building this using all this real estate. Oh, and by the way, when we build these, we are typically building them near power plants. And instead of just drawing from the grid, we typically are embedding generators into our data center. So we're providing our own power and then providing the excess back to the grid. So trying to be, good from an energy perspective, reducing environmental impact. But we said, there's more we can do. And so you may have heard of this. This was a project that actually just came to, this particular phase of this project just wrapped up about just a few weeks ago. And what Project Natick was, we said, well, we need to take this data center production to the next level. So, instead of going around the world and using real estate and building materials and, air conditioning systems and all these things which have a potential negative impact on the environment. What if we could build a data center more in a more agile way, make them portable, and leverage an environment that would provide all the necessary cooling and such, so that it would have a very minimal impact on the environment. So here you can see we're building a data center, manufacturing it in a way that it's going to be placed into a long tube. It'll be sealed up. The atmosphere inside will be a nitrogen-based atmosphere, so to reduce any corrosion. And we then took that several years ago up to the tip of Scotland, and obviously we had to work through a fair amount of paperwork, but with the great relationship with local authorities who are very focused on renewable energy, we said, look, what we want to do is we want to drop this data center out off the coast, down to the bottom of the ocean there, leverage the fact that it's in the ocean to provide the cooling. We want to then monitor that to see that it would would not have a negative impact on any of the sea life and the surrounding animal ecosystem, coral and so on. And so we did that. We brought it out and we submerged it, and you can see here that we're pulling in that fiber optic network because we've got access to that around the world. We pulled that in and attached it, and then created this lights out operation, and it was underwater for several years. So it's a better server environment. It's consistently cool. There's no oxygen, and it's a lights out operation. So clearly there's no one going down there to change a hard drive or swap a server or anything like that. So we monitor that, and we just pulled that out of the water a couple of weeks ago. But that's an example of the types of things we're doing just in evolving our data center technology. The next generation of that, we're going to create, if you can imagine now, a flotilla of 12 or more of those containers, and be able to transport them anywhere in the world that requires additional compute and storage. Bring that down to the bottom of the ocean, bring it, plug in the network, bring it online, and now you've got server and compute capacity that's near the population center that needs it. So we don't have to go around the world using real estate necessarily to build up our data center capability. And we're going to do it in a way that has, has no negative impact on the environment. Some other areas of innovation, we're doing a lot using our AI platform, which I said it's imbued within in our Azure platform and in our edge capabilities for applying artificial intelligence models at the edge or in the cloud. And we're saying, look, we also want to make this available to people who are trying to do good in the world. So we've created a program called AI for Good, and there are we've made funding available to nonprofits and to researchers who are doing work in the area of animal ecosystems, forestry, water quality, accessibility, humanitarian action, cultural heritage, and health. And so that's we're making these funds and we're making these resources available, and then working with those groups towards their successful ends. You may have seen a commercial where there's scientists trying to track snow leopards in the wild. And this is very difficult because the snow leopard is kind of invisible against the rocks. They just blend in. And if you want to analyze population and so on, and you're a researcher, you can't do it by just going out into the field and setting up a place to kind of sit and watch. You can't do it because you can't really see them. So that was one of the programs where we provided the object recognition technology, the artificial intelligence models to be able to then set up the cameras in the wild and track the snow leopard populations. Just another example where we're again trying to make a difference with our technology, and at the end of the day, it's not always about making a buck. Sometimes it's about just try to make a better world. So we're doing that in the area of humanitarian action, refugees, helping refugees and displaced people. We're going to historic sites and we're doing things like, this historic site is, because of the elements, is rotting away. We're going to capture it through images and through sound, and we're going to create three-dimensional models of these spaces and make them available to a wider audience of people through museums and online experiences, things of that sort. We're investing in, and then AI for health. You can easily see this as an extension of some of the work that the Gates Foundation is doing around the world. Applying this to farming is another space, and we have a whole program around helping farmers around the world leverage sensors in the soil, sensors that are deployed on drones to analyze ground cover, the amount of moisture, and the air quality, and all of these things, and then provide connectivity from those remote farms using a capability called TV Whitespace, which is the ability to tie into unused communication spectrum and then leverage that for remote locations by standing up TV Whitespace transmitters and creating connected farms. Even if they're in the most remote areas, we can now create these connected farms with all the IoT sensors and provide the applications and the AI in order to help farmers achieve better results. And that then it's kind of it makes sense then to kind of evolve into this next big initiative, which is our carbon commitment. And this we announced back in January. And so what we're looking to do there is first focus on ourselves. And we've been doing that really for a number of years. This isn't brand new, but we've really extended it recently. All our data centers around the world and all of that work, we are carbon neutral right now from that perspective. And we achieve that through a number of different ways of providing energy back to the grid, carbon credits, tax credits, and other means. But we felt there's more we can do. In fact, we decided we want to be carbon negative by 2030. And then by 2050 have accounted for all of the carbon emissions that Microsoft ourselves have produced since our founding in 1975. So we're focused on carbon, waste, and water, and we've got teams of people and programs, and again, we're making funding available, $1 billion fund in order to invest and support our customers, our supply chain, ourselves, and nonprofits in trying to impact these ecosystems. So as I said, by 2030, we're going to reduce our emissions by more than half, be carbon negative, and then by 2050 have everything that we've emitted directly or via electricity consumption since our founding in '75. There's a $1 billion climate innovation fund, and we're developing tools and technology to help our customers achieve that as well. As I mentioned earlier, we did a hackathon in the summer with Akamai on sustainability. So our customers are all in on this. We're engaging our supply chain, all of our partners. So all the companies that are involved in the manufacture of Surface and mice and keyboards and Xbox, we're going to make sure that they are involved in this. All of the companies we use for transporting products around the world, our campuses, our fleet of vehicles, our use of water, the waste that we produce, all of this is going to be examined and brought into this program. So it's something, again, that you think of from a cultural perspective to have a company committed at this level to sustainability. It's something employees can be proud of, they can get involved in, and it's something our customers look to us and they're like, you know what, that's awesome. We want to come along as well, Microsoft. Let's partner on this. So we're doing work with a lot of companies now on sustainability, typically starting with hackathons, sustainability hackathons, which help uncover opportunities that for programs that our customers can create for their employees, but also bring value to their business. If they're in the energy business, if they're in the waste business, if they're in the water business, they're going to want to begin to evolve their offerings, their capabilities in order to engage their customers on this topic and to produce better results at the end of the day. And so that's really what this sustainability program is all about. So I think wrapping up, what that gives you a sense of is that in order to evolve Microsoft to be the company it is today and the company it's going to continue to work on being this guiding light of wanting to empower every person and every organization on the planet to achieve more, we had to address our culture, we had to address our business strategy, and we had to then begin to innovate, and all three of those are intrinsically tied together. So thank you. That's the story right there.
That's great, Bob. Thank you. I think like a lot of folks, I'm drinking from the fire hose of all the great stories and technologies and innovations. There was one comment I thought that resonated well: sustainability and innovation meets business strategy. I think it's wonderful to hear the stories and great to see the presentation on it. There was one question I think you addressed in part around the role of solar and wind and passive energy. You had the example of the open data center being air cooled, which our data center, Cape Cod Healthcare, my back kind of shuddered when I first saw that, but in the right environment. So I wonder if you could say anything else about any other passive energy sources that are in use.
Every part of the world's different, and you deal with different regulation and rules, and so we look to enter into those particular environments and ecosystems and make sure we're doing the right thing and engage the local authorities. In some cases, we're restricted in real estate, so our data centers are built up, and they could be multiple stories high. In other cases, there's enough land, and we can begin to spread out. And I think about the kind of data centers we have down in Virginia, which is both our East Region Azure environment as well as our Azure Gov is down there, and the massive amount of acreage that's used, but it's available right in the wilderness of Western Virginia. Same out in Texas, and then in outside of Chicago, and then on the West Coast we have a couple of areas. Just so in the U.S. we tend to use that build out and 100 with multiple buildings located closely, and then that replicated hundreds of miles away for that local regional failover.
Okay.
The key thing is we build generators into our data centers. They're providing electricity back to the grid, and using lots of different techniques for cooling. Sometimes it's water cooled within a container. So if you can imagine, we bring servers online a container at a time, not a server at a time. So imagine a truck container. All right, fill that with server racks. So you get a 2,000 to 3,000 servers and storage capability in that container, and then the outside of the container has whatever cooling mechanism there's a plug for that. There's Ethernet and there's power. So there's three plugs, and so you bring that container into a data center and you drop it in place, and then typically you're stacking those multiple high, and you're using either water or air or in some cases the environment to cool.
Okay.
So it falls into those categories.
Oh, good stuff. We're seeing some questions, Bob, I think sparked in part by AI for Good, which is a wonderful program, but a related question, of course, is the other side of that, and what's Microsoft doing to protect the privacy of individual users and not know so much about AI, but the increasing concerns around cybersecurity.
It's a top of mind, with all of our customers. As we're engaging, I can tell you, we've done hundreds of engagements with customers over the last couple of years on security, governance, and compliance, and it comes down to making sure when they're using our platform, one of the things that we guarantee to our customers is their use of our platform. It's their data, it's under their control. We're providing the services so they can secure it, but from that perspective, we have no access to their data. That's not necessarily true of all clouds, but there's a virtual firewall between anything Microsoft has an access to maintaining our data center environment and our customers' data and their runtime environment, which is completely virtualized. Then there are services, obviously in Azure, that our customers can take advantage of for managing identity, for creating secure document storage, for being compliant in the financial services area, in healthcare, and obviously in government. And I think that's reflective of the JEDI program that we were able to win against the competition. We were chosen really because in a lot of ways how advanced our security capabilities are. That, and when you look at programs like GDPR that are in Europe that are about people controlling access to their data, Microsoft thought that's actually a really good idea. We are now GDPR compliant, of course, but we're GDPR compliant globally. We decided to say that's how we're going to treat customer data globally, and we go through tremendous amount of training on our side. We don't hold on to customer information in lots of different systems. It's centralized, and there are a lot of rules around access to that information, and a huge focus on what's called PII, and making sure that as we are working with our customers, just in the case we started the meeting, we said we're going to record this meeting. That's an example of that's something that if you have to obviously make people aware that you want to record, and then if someone says no, I don't want to be recorded, then you honor that. That's just a small example of kind of the just being cognizant of everything we have to do to protect people's information. But massive amount of capabilities in the platform for security. If you go to our what's referred to as our Azure Trust Center, you can really dig into all of the standards of a compliance and all the blueprints that we have in place for our customers, be able to stand up compliant and secure environments.
Great, thank you, Bob. A couple of questions around how folks can take advantage of the technology center. How would local business go about scheduling a session? How could they schedule a strategy session? And then question about how many local nonprofits could participate in the hackathons that you mentioned.
Sure. So I'll answer the second one first. So if there's a nonprofit who would want to get involved in, let's say, our hackathon next summer, you could reach out to me. I'll put you in touch with the folks that will help get you invited in and being able to participate. And then what I do on my side is for the nonprofits and the customers coming in, I help organize the hackathon teams that will work with them. So I can get you connected in. They could reach out to me directly on that. My team's a finite resource. So I've got 6 architects, and our mission is for our enterprise customers. So we have about 450 customers that we focus on just here in New England, and it's unfortunate that I have to say we can't work with every customer. I would love if we could, but there are other resources that our customers can take advantage of. So as an example, let me first say, with my team, we're working with folks like, hopefully it's fairly obvious. It would be folks like Stanley Black & Decker. It would be General Electric. It's going to be Fidelity, State Street, Liberty Mutual, Staples, TJX. These are the types of customers that we're working with, just here in New England. So, that's referred to as our enterprise customers. These are large customers. There are a segment of customers that unfortunately aren't in that band, aren't in that tier, but we do have resources for them. And so you may have heard that recently we did close our retail stores. Unfortunately, I love the retail stores, but it was a business decision, and certainly COVID probably accelerated that decision. And we said, you know what? But at the same time, the people that work at the stores, they're awesome Microsoft employees. Let's find a place for them. So they are actually now engaged with our with that next tier of customers and providing ongoing touch point with Microsoft, being able to answer questions on the technology, provide training, things of that sort. So if you're in the group of customers that my team supports, you can certainly reach out to me, and I'll see about getting my team engaged. If you're not in that band, I can still plug you into the team that would be able to support you at some level. It's just a matter of finite resources that we have for direct engagement with customers, but happy to help make the connection where possible.
Well, thank you very much for the offer. Yeah, I know as another enterprise customer, first thing we did was reach out to our account team, which every customer has, and then they connected us to you folks. So thanks.
Yeah. That's usually the first line is your account manager, and then they typically make a request of me to bring the customer in. But if you're not sure who that is, or I can certainly help make that connection.
Well, thanks again for the offer. There's a question about with the trend of folks, certainly with COVID and other trends. Folks working remotely. You mentioned yourself, Bob, that you haven't been into the office in some number of months. So is there any comments you have about trends on long-term work and changes around where we work?
Sure. So just from my own team's perspective, we started doing remote engagements back in March. We've been remote since. And there's a team at Microsoft who we get email from every week. They're monitoring the COVID situation globally. And we've got plans in place, different phases, just the way the government has these phases of, reopening businesses. We have a phased approach to reopening our offices and getting employees back in the office and making it available then for our customers to come in. We're still months away probably from that happening as we monitor the situation. But I think it appears that by the November timeframe, at least with current plans, employees probably at the 25% capacity level will be able to get back to the office. But having customers come in, that's still several months away. We have to wait and see. There are some of our offices around the world have reopened, but most are still closed. And as I said, we're iterating through this process. I think we will be in this hybrid model for some time. So my team has built up a lot of skills in being able to run remote meetings in this, as close to possible in the way that we would run one in our briefing room, where we've got whiteboard and we've got, state-of-the-art presentation capabilities. Well, these Zoom meetings and team meetings, the whiteboarding is okay. The collaborative stuff, it's evolving. It's evolving at an incredible rate. So I think it's going to get, it's good. I think it's actually going to get pretty good and even great in the next 6 to 8 months. So there's a lot of evolution on the technology side to be able to make remote engagement more compelling and more immersive. But I think at the end of the day, we all want to be able to get back in person and work together in a room. It might be that we'll do that in a hybrid fashion. We'll be separated by some distance. We'll be wearing masks. Everyone will do a health check before you come into a building, and all of that type of thing we're doing. We've instituted those rules right now, but I think that's kind of where we're at. My guess it's probably where everyone is at, and we're all of us getting probably a little tired of the Brady Bunch view of life, So
today's session accepted.
Right. So we've got to, at some point, we're going to really want to get back and start to interact with other human beings. So I'm looking forward to that.
That's good, Bob. Yeah, I know we're getting close to time. We had one more question, and certainly if I missed any questions, put it back in the chat session and notice and let us know. Bob mentioned that he can stay for questions afterwards. But Bob, and then certainly let you provide some other closing thoughts if you have them. But there's a question around the skills gap. We've had a presentation think within a year or so, about technology skills, and I think around availability of folks to work in your organization. You also mentioned a term I really like, which is upskilling, which I know happened with my team just from the interaction with the folks in your organization. So you could talk a little bit about what you see with the skills gap and how that's addressed.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's, like if I go back a couple of years and thinking through, some of the work we did with customers, as they came to us and they said, look, we're right now we're on-prem. We know we have to get to the cloud. We want to know how to do that technically. I said, and we were smart enough to say, yep, we can help you with that, but let's talk also about your teams and your people. Where are they at with their skills? Because you're not going to just, go hire a whole new team. You want to evolve them to become the cloud architects, even if they're in IT now, and they know how to manage a physical data center. Managing a cloud data center, it takes a different set of skills. And so being able to create a program, some of the things we're seeing is folks that have been traditional, IT skills probably are going to have to learn what it's like to be a developer a bit more. So, we refer to that as DevOps, right? So we're bringing DevOps to IT. So it's about, a lot of it's about automation, learning how to create those automation capabilities in a digital environment to automate the creation of VM and service environments to automate the security capabilities, the logging capabilities, the reporting capabilities, ticketing, all of that, what sometimes is referred to as the landing zone. Being able to create that secure, scalable landing zone and manage that environment, create an operations center that is digital, and then you get into just managing that as using a DevOps approach, which is there's going to be change management. It's going to be a change to a script. It's got to be checked out. It's got to be modified. It's got to be tested. It's got to be checked back in. You're now going to roll that out. That's more of a developer type of pipeline. But now folks that were traditionally managing servers are doing that kind of work. So that's an example of the upskilling where they're learning how to do the scripting, different types of languages, learning how to use DevOps tools for check-in and check-out and managing these deployment pipelines. That's just one example, I think, of the upskilling. And so we've created programs to help our customers upskill their workforce in various ways. It could be their development teams learning how to do that with more modern tools in the cloud. It's also their IT folks learning how to do that. So everyone then has these digital IT skills.
That's great. Great, thank you. I don't see any other questions, Bob. Again, I want to express my thanks. It was a terrific session, and we certainly want to have you in person on Cape Cod as well sometime in the future. But I'll turn it over to Bert. Is there anything you want to close off with?
Well, I'm just from a personal standpoint, I've been involved with technology since about 1991. And so started with the Bill Gates era in Microsoft and through the Ballmer era. And it's really great to see the evolution in culture. There were a couple of comments earlier in the chat that, weren't completely positive about Microsoft. And I think that there really has been a change. And I love the new mission statement. Really excited to hear about the cool things that we're doing. As you know, we have a real blue economy aspect to what's happening here in our region. Some of the technology companies here, like Hydroid and McLean Systems, et cetera, are involved with that. So seeing that underwater server in Scotland was really cool, and just wondering about just what the possibilities are of that going forward. So I learned a lot. I'm very appreciative of having you here. Thanks very much. I know that beforehand we talked about you being a musician, and so if there's anything online that you'd like to share, pop it in the chat before we go away, because I'd love to check it out. So I'd just like to say thank you very much for being here. I've had some offline comments that really appreciate what you've just presented here today. And thanks to everybody who joined us. look forward to seeing you at a future event. Just one of the things I forgot to mention when I was doing events. October 23rd is the Net Zero Conference, virtual Net Zero Conference. Tech Council is a partner putting that together. And that's going to be focusing on business, on technologies for business to take advantage of some of the net zero technologies that are available to save money and help save the planet a little bit as well. So all, thank you very much. Any questions, please reach out to me, and we'll see you next time. Thank you all. Thank you, Bob.
Thank you. Appreciate
Thank
the
you so
opportunity.
much, Bob.
Thank you.
Take care.
Hey, everyone.
Thanks, Bert. Thanks, Robin.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you, Ed, too. You did a great job.
Hey, Bert, you can find me. You can find me on any of the streaming services, by the way. Just search Bob Familiar. I'm there.
Okay, sounds good.
Take care.
Thank you, Bob.
All right, thank you.
And stop recording.
Thank you, Mark.